We're in for a wild night.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 132 of Born to be Wild, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the Wild format of Hearthstone and spotlighting members of the Wild community. I'm your host, as always, Nate Wolf. It is good to be back on a beautiful fall evening here, joining you from Orange County, California. I'm joined by two of my favorite people. Hydralisk is not with us tonight because he is doing a family thing, but let us not forget one of the most important rules of Born to be Wild: there must always be a Canadian. So, my good friend Blutrane, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. Glad to represent the mandatory Canadian contingent.
Thank you for joining us on such short notice. I really appreciate it. And
My pleasure.
Stuff came up at the last moment, but very happy to have you.
I'd be watching anyways, so instead of being a spectator tonight, I'm a participant. Either way,
Hey,
I'm
nice.
I'm a happy guy.
Aw. And of course, Electric Sheep City, welcome back. It's great to have you. Thank you for hosting. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, meowdy friends, and greetings from chilly Denver area, Colorado.
Are you chilly out of the country? Wow. Okay.
No, it's weird. Like I go outside and whenever I exhale, like it's like a mist right in front of my mouth. I'm what is this? It's bizarre.
What is this black magic?
It's so different from like every winter previous, like sorcery.
That's what we'd always say in Portland. Like, what is this strange glowing object in the sky that's emanating warmth?
The glowing lights above the Arby's.
Oh dear. Well, we're here.
We made it.
Yeah. So I having some technical difficulties. It's gonna be a little bit funky until I think we're set up like in our own place. But having a little off-air discussion about microphones and such, plugging trying to use a fancy mixer with a USB mic, probably not the best idea.
We'll get you set up though.
Yeah.
But until then, for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. Let me briefly explain how the show works. We record this very podcast that you're listening to right now live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/borntobewildhs. And the video version of this podcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all the podcast apps. So, however you're watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today, thank you. Yes, you.
Yes, and thank you everybody for hanging out and joining us, especially those of you who are watching live on Twitch. It's always good to interact with everybody. And thank you to everyone who's checking this out later on YouTube or any of the podcast apps. We really appreciate you. Before we started to the show, I wanted to say a big thank you to Shokunin, the executive producer of our show, and also to all of our patrons. Thank you so much for your support. If you are interested in supporting us, there's a couple of free ways that you can do it. Like, subscribe, comment to our stuff on YouTube, leave any comments, reviews on iTunes, app, Google Podcasts, or your podcast platform of choice. If you are watching this on Twitch or someone that uses Twitch a lot, we do have some emotes that you can unlock for free by following, or some paid ones that you can unlock for subscribing. This is free if you've got Amazon Prime. And otherwise, if you're interested in just interacting with us, we do have a Discord channel, especially in the event that Twitter goes down.
Yikes! little soon there.
I mean, it's been an interesting couple of days, but Discord is where we hang out. So if anybody is interested in hanging out with us, we do have a Discord channel. It's a free service online community where we hang out. We post deck lists and memes, talk about real life and funny stuff, funny usernames. There's always some good ones. What we had this past week? Been kind of taking a look at that lately, and it's always really funny. Let me see here. We have Poop Man. That's pretty good. Potato Lord, Tractor Boy, Killer Soda. There you go. There's some from last week.
I think my favorite of this last week, one of our community members is Gimme Lamp, and they were playing against Magic Lamp. So it was a battle to see who the true lamp was.
That's pretty funny. Oh. I've been looking for a new username. I mean, it's a shame that Poop Man is taken.
Alas.
Oh gosh.
Are
Anyways.
you still thinking about changing your username, Nate, or
Yeah,
you've been kind
yeah,
of back
but-
and forth on that?
I've been kind of back and forth on it. It doesn't seem urgent, but it seems like maybe a good idea. But I'll play it by ear, I guess. But whatever.
Then fake Nate Wolf won't be fake Nate Wolf anymore.
Oh no! Well, we
He'll be
can't have
just-
that.
Yeah. Remember
Yeah.
when he was hanging out in Jack's stream, everyone was calling him fake Nate and he was getting pretty mad. It's like, I'm real, I'm right here. I'm like, no, you're not.
That's so funny.
The imposter.
Oh, that's funny. Well, anyways, it's been a week. I guess we've got a bunch of card reveals over the past week. We were kind of talking before the show about how I don't know, what did you call it, Blue? I think a little bit disillusioned. Is that the right word?
Disillusion's not the correct word. I'd say that we're in the lame duck period of Hearthstone, right? The pre-expansion blues, and I think
Yeah.
that I've personally been having a difficult time getting excited about what's to come, and there's no malice or ill intent behind it. It's not like I'm upset with the game or anything's wrong. It's not you, it's me. But I'm hoping that there's been other things kind of demanding my attention. Work's been kind of nuts. I was telling Sheep before that I started work yesterday at the early hour of 3:30 in the morning.
Oh gosh, I've done it once or twice, and it was always terrible. But
So it kind of makes it tricky. But the good thing is that the cards we're to be looking at tonight, it's going to be, I've glanced at them, but it'll be the first time I'm really taking them in, and I'm excited to see what's going on out there, because the feedback that I've heard is that the Death Knight cards are really cool,
Especially the Frost ones. But
I walked right into that. Didn't I? My friend Seth, who some of you may know as For Christ on Ladder, tends to like the same kind of decks that I like, and he's really stoked. He's really excited about the new cards, and he's not one to just get excited for nothing. So I think that there's probably something there. But yeah, it's been tough. I did my Legend climb this past week. Wasn't even sure I was gonna do it, but just kind of last Sunday started it, and it just kind of came naturally. And I think that there's a lack of variety on ladder right now. We've talked about it in standard. I think wild is starting to kind of become very centralized. 50% priest throughout the whole climb from bronze to legend. Half of that was Reno, half of it was big, and then the other quarter was rogue, pillagers, the new miracle rogue, and a few pirates spattered in there, and then like the other 25% was everything else. I think mage made up like 12%, and then so it didn't bother me as much as you might think, but I think that we're ready for a big shakeup, and perhaps that'll shed the blues a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. It's always hard right before the new expansion comes out, because it's like, I'm bored. I want to play with the new stuff. I'm bored of the old stuff. And I think in terms of a shakeup, it's really cool for the standard players to get to play the Frozen Throne stuff in standard. But for us, it's like, well, we already had it, so
yeah.
I don't know if they think it's so cool, but maybe another conversation for another time.
No, they probably hate it, but
well, I bet the feedback is that this is not as bad as Doom in the Tomb was, but this is probably the second worst since Doom in the Tomb, which is like, if you remember Doom in the Tomb, that's when Evolve came back, and there was that huge fiasco with the Evolve for a month. So I haven't played any standard. In fact, I usually hold a 10x in standard, and this month they dunked me down to 9.
Welcome to the club.
Going from 10 to 9 isn't bad, but it's not like going from 11 to 10. I wasn't that choked up about it, but it just kind of underscores that it's been a good few months since I've done the standard thing, and
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of the difference between 11 and 10x in particular, I actually did my legend climb today as well. And I saw a similar breakdown to you, but a slightly different king of the castle in mind. So I climbed with Pirate Rogue. It was fun. It's a classic. Well, wild.
Base is always a good time.
Yeah. But I encountered primarily shamans. And so it was kind of split pretty evenly in between even shaman and freeze shaman.
I was going to say pretty evenly, but
pun not intended.
Your pun game is on point.
Totally embraced. Priest was the second highest class that I saw at 22%. So with those combined, broke through that 50% mark. So the smattering of Demon Hunter, Mage, Druid, Hunter, one of those. Other rogues and warlocks. There's some other pirate rogues out there, and like a miracle or two. But yeah. It was a fine climb. Went up there with a 67% win rate, so
nice,
pretty normal.
Good.
I hear that not to be toxic, but isn't 67% a pretty low win rate for Wild?
Oh,
that's for those not in the know. That's like the latest Wild meme that I see floating around out there. Everyone's like kind of using a different percentage, but I don't know where it originated from. But if you've hung out in Corbett's chat recently, like you'll just see that pasted like over and over again.
Isn't that a pretty low win rate for Wild?
67? I don't know.
Whatever your win rate happens to be.
Yeah, unless it's 100%. Unless your win rate's 100% or 69%, you're not doing it right.
Wrong.
Regardless, still too low for Wild. Shaking my head.
1000%.
Too low.
Too low.
No. We can't do that.
So Nate, we're gonna have to find you a deck, and you're gonna have to do the thing. You still got time.
I'll do it this weekend. It's hard during the week because I started the new job and we're in a different place and everything's just a little funky. But should have time to do it this weekend, and hopefully, I ideally will kind of do it over one day, do it over 2 days, something like that. That's what I normally will do. So we'll see. I kept my 11.
What you thinking?
So.
What tool of the trade?
I have been playing Rotted's Secret Mage, and it's fine. It's easy to play. It's kind of fun. My thought was, like, I've hit Legend in Wild with every class except Mage. Like, I should just do it with Mage to be able to check it off my list. But I could play whatever.
Have you never done it with Mage? I feel like we've had this conversation already, and I'm always surprised.
I've gotten close a couple of times, but I've never done the whole climb. Lately, I'll just pick one deck and do the entire climb with it. And so I'll probably end up doing that, but we'll see. I mean, if it, I'm not gonna force it. Like if it's super unfavorable, I don't want to force it and then tank my rank and then have to climb a bunch. So we'll see. But so far I'm 1-0, so 100% win rate.
Good start.
That's low for Wild.
Yeah, I asked the Wild Hive Mind, like, I don't want to think, I want to turn my brain off. What do I play? And the resounding consensus was even Shaman. And it was good. Even though I never believe in it, and I always say it can't be good, it turns out it's a good deck.
I mean, it was good when I did it last time. So
my climb reminded me of yours. Like, it was just, you have bad games, but like it just gets there. And I was 50% unfavorables. Like Rito Priest and Big Priest are not matchups you want to see, and I still I mean, every win rate's low and wild, but like going 60% into half unfavorables, it didn't feel it didn't stress me out. It felt pretty smooth, pretty good. So just saying, I think Secret Mage is kind of similar. I think power level wise, I'm told even Shaman's probably better, but I think they both occupy kind of similar kind of positions relative to the meta. The best of the aggressive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Although Pirate Warrior's kind of having a little bit of a renaissance, and I think that Sheep experienced it because it kind of farms the free shamans still, and now that's seeing a lot more play. And yeah,
Yeah.
so that
Huh.
seems to be pretty good too.
Pirate rogue, not warrior. Rogue.
Did I say warrior?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
meant-
I was shocked.
no.
Shocked
Total-
Pikachu face.
with the
slip
fishes.
up.
With the fishes.
Yeah. Pirate Rogue. Pirate Warrior is terrible. Meowth tried playing a game or two of it on stream and very quickly deleted the deck. It is terrible. It is so bad. I would even think it would be bad if they unnerfed Raid the Docks at this point. No, Rogue, not Warrior. Thank you for catching that. I don't want to misinform your audience.
Oh,
So
gosh.
yeah, Pirate Rogue does very well into Freeze Shaman, and that's becoming a more popular choice at all levels of ladder.
I do like some Pirate Rogue. Yeah. Well, we'll see. So I spent the week doing I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't playing Marvel Snap and God of War, but yeah.
What is this Marvel Snap you speak of?
Oh, don't get me started. We'll be here all night.
Blutrane snap.
Oh,
Animated.
snap.
3D.
Wow, legendary. Wait.
Oh dear. Wah! But my time in Hearthstone over the past week has primarily been for the limited time stuff. So I finished out the Headless Horseman event thing, the Hollows Eve. Is that what they call it?
Hollow's End, I believe.
Hollow's End. Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyways, I finished up that. I got all the stuff. I did all of the Battlegrounds Hammer Time event, whatever it's called, and I got all that stuff. And then I finished out the Mercenaries route, all the Rattlegore stuff. And so that was my Hearthstone week because it was all like limited time stuff, and so I wanted to get it out of the way. Although it's a lot, you get to do it a lot longer than they used to.
Mhm.
In the past it was like, all right, you've got 4 days to do this before it goes away forever. And now you've got like the entire month to do the Rattlegore stuff, and it's like, oh, well, I guess there's no rush then. But
Can you
not-
do this event in 2 seconds?
oh snap! I'll play some Wild over the weekend. But anyways, new job is going great. I've been having a great time, but I've been not doing nearly as much Hearthstone. And I heard that all the Death Knight cards were revealed, so it's like, oh, let's take a look at those and figure out how we can break Wild with the new class.
And we
Not that that'll happen.
what?
But,
Breaking a format? No, not us. Not in Wild.
I've seen at least one card that I was like, that's not a real card. And then you were like, no, it's not a real card. Actually, it's a 7/7. I was like, what?
Yeah, that was really funny. We'll start with that one. Actually, we'll start with that whole archetype. So, like we were talking about last week, Death Knight cards are kind of broken up into a few different kind of runed archetypes. So there's Unholy, there's Blood, there's but the other one, Frost, the cool one. See, cool Frost. You're welcome. And so
So all of the Path of Arthas cards have been revealed, and then the 10 cards for March of the Lich King have been revealed. And then there's more, right? Isn't there a core set as well?
yeah, and they've
Is
got
that out as well?
So let's back up for a second here. Maybe this might be a good primer for those who are like me who have been in the dark up until now. So
Mhm.
there are 3 kind of groupings of cards. So explain to me how that works. My understanding is you only can have one, or you can only have one type in your deck, correct? It's almost like there's three subclasses. Is that right?
So there are essentially three different subclasses, but you can mix and match depending on the number of runes that are listed on the card. So you essentially, for your deck, will have 3 rune slots. So if we're taking a look at this one random that I happened to click, Overseer Frigidara, it has 2 little like rune things kind of up at the top. That means that your deck, yeah, that means that the deck that you choose will have to have 2 of those frost runes in it. So you could choose to have 1 blood, so 1 red, 1 frost, blue, and 1 unholy, but that would mean that you couldn't run any of the cards that have 2 of the rune stones of any of them, because you have to have 2. They've pretty much said that like if you just do 1 of each, then you won't, like it'll be a pretty weak deck.
They said it would kind of suck, like you do one of each, but like they don't recommend it.
It's not a good idea.
Or you're generally gonna have like either you're gonna specialize in one, or you might do like 2 in 1 and have some like supporting ones. Like, is that kind of the breakdown, the thought there? And
yeah,
yeah,
it's kind of like Magic.
No, it's nothing like Magic. I mean, and I don't say that in a bad way. This is interesting. So this is why people were saying that they could make something overpowered, because they can the way they slice it and dice it, they can kind of stop very broken things from happening because
they
of
can
the
force
restriction.
you to limit the deck building based on the rune stones.
How?
So like,
yeah, okay, I understand now. Excellent. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a really cool kind of deck building restriction that kind of opens it up a little bit more than it restricts it. Because like you were saying, you can put the really powerful things and really synergistic things, but also you can't just then play like Da Undertaker, for example, like, and N'Zoth in the same deck if, one is 3 unholy and 1 is 3 frost, right? So it enables them to kind of lean in harder in certain areas, but it also will mean that Death Knight needs to have more cards, which also from a sales perspective means that they're kind of being encouraging people to spend more on them as well, which like I'm going to have all the cards anyway. So like, I'm not particularly worried about, but I am a little worried for my like friends who are free to play that they'll kind of be priced out of some of the more interesting ways to play due to that kind of, it's not like in a druid, oh, I've got a druid card, I can just play that in any druid thing. Well, I got this Lord Marrowgar, but I don't have any other like really strong like unholy things, so it's kind of useless to me. So I think that for people like me who are getting all of the things, I think that it's really interesting, but I think that it has a possible downside as well.
It's an interesting thought that might be the downside. It might make it less accessible. I honestly I don't know what to think of it, because I now understand. I knew that it was a way of segmenting the cards. I guess I was under the impression it was like one or the other or the other. Like I didn't realize there was some possibility for overlap. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I also think it's a little scary, because it means that they may take chances on cards thinking that they're safe when they're not, and you might see, I mean, I'm just remembering Demon Hunter when it came out, right? Or if you've played other card games like Runeterra, when they introduced new regions, like that was a bit I mean, Bandle City in Runeterra, for those who are Runeterra enjoyers, will probably groan and roll their eyes. It was like a new class kind of equivalent, and it was just so overpowered for so long. Anyway, so it's interesting that they're trying to put in safety valves, I suppose you can say. It's pretty cool.
And it seems like I mean, I think that having the different what do you call them?
Runes.
like runes. I almost said rune stones, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. Will
That's
sort
not
of
right.
Cat, stop it. Sorry, he's getting into trouble over there. I think it'll be really interesting, but historically they design and test the cards primarily around standard, and so while they may think that they have built these in a way as to not break things, I can most assuredly tell you that something will be broken with by a wild player within the first week of this release. Like it just always happens. And Yada probably, or somebody like that probably already has like some kind of OTK combo with these cards. Like I see you smiling over there, and
No, because I remember Yada was like one of the people that popularized was it Tiller? I think it was Tiller.
oh
Anyways,
gosh,
he's
yeah,
our chaotic evil like deck brewer. He'll always come up with something to
right. I mean, I
break the
don't blame
status
him. I
quo.
mean,
Golly Bob
so
howdy, I am undead.
Oh goodness. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, I appreciate the explanation. So that'll help as we go through some of the cards because, if it's a really powerful effect, it's got 3 of the stones, that has implications, whereas if it has 2 or 1, and so that's pretty neat.
and there are some that have no rune stones, right? Like that
Like
have
neutrals within the Demon Hunter class.
Kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a terrible
Right,
way
so
of
there's
putting
one,
it,
but
I was laughing because I was thinking you may have been an arena enjoyer earlier this week with that comment.
I haven't touched any arena in a very long time.
yeah, it broke earlier this week. Apparently it's back now. But
Oh yeah, I saw some tweets about that.
oh yeah, they had to disable it. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the very beginning of this arena rotation, only expansions without Demon Hunter cards were included. Actually, whenever they brought Arena back, they included the Initiate set or something like that, so that it wasn't just neutral cards, but neutral and Demon Hunter in particular made me laugh. Because that's all they could play with for a while in Arena.
Wow.
So anyways, I think they've got Demon Hunter or Death Knight cards released or revealed for the core set and for the Path of Arthas, and they've revealed the 10 for the March of the Lich King set. So we could start kind of looking at synergies and stuff now. And yeah, I haven't seen them either. So
Just
I
dive
guess
in.
yeah.
Apologies to derail the conversation, but I legitimately didn't understand how the system worked. So yeah, that's good.
I mean, it adds a level of complexity to it, and I think it's pretty fun actually, so that you ideally can do fun things without totally breaking everything.
And just as an aside, I think for those who know me, aesthetically speaking, I really didn't like the Demon Hunter cards. I didn't like that like black green. I kind of dig the border for the Death Knight cards. Kind of cool. I like the black blue. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, I've always liked it. It's that like real dark, like gray blue color with the lighter blue around it. I think it's pretty cool. It's a little similar to Rogue.
Very similar to Rogue. That blue kind of accent around the portrait is what kind of distinguishes it. Otherwise, it like that charcoal is not identical, but super
Rogue
close.
Is like, I guess, yeah. Rogue's a very deep black. It's funny that you'd say that. I'm the one who can't see, but you know what? Maybe actually that's why it looks different because everything to me looks blurry and smeary. So like the color outlines kind of blend, so it's not as like so maybe for once the impediment makes it easier to see.
Oh my, how the turntables.
Yeah, but I think they look pretty cool. I like them aesthetically better than Death Knight. So, but it's very personal choice. I'm sure there's some people out there that love the way the demon. Sorry, I'm getting everything confused.
Demon Hunter stuff, yeah. They looked so close to Hunter, and then they had the lime green instead of this blue color, right?
So eventually we're going to end up with 18 classes, and each of the original classes are going to have very similar looking like offshoot
Only
classes.
Only so many colors to choose.
I'm just getting ready for when they start doing like a whole like expansion of dual class everything or
I don't
three
think they're.
class everything. Like
Here's
they won't. They
here's my
probably
hot
won't,
take
but-
for the night. I don't think they're ever gonna do dual class again, or at least not for a very long time. I think that
Well,
it
we all
was.
saw how that turned out. Right, the Cabal classes are the good ones, and all the rest ones are just bad. Is that right?
It's very hard to balance, right? Like the
Yeah.
cards basically only like with a couple of very limited exceptions. They basically only saw play in one class, and then you had ones that were just completely broken. Cop, Lightning Bloom. Um, yeah, I don't know. It apparently it's hard to balance, but maybe they'll introduce a mechanic like the runes to try and limit it more broadly if
Yeah,
it's successful.
it could happen. So this is a card, Alexandros Migraine. Yeah,
Alexandros Mograine.
Mograine.
But migraine is funnier.
All right, 7 mana, 7/7 undead battle cry for the rest of the game. Deal 3 damage to your opponent at the end of your turn. Like, okay,
Three red runes. So this is an effect that's interesting, and it's become more common where like you play a minion and it's not active for as long as it's out. Like
this
it's
is a
just there.
permanent aura. Yeah,
Yeah, like they did that with Due Process. They did it with the Shaman legendary for the totems. They're all very strong effects. So just 3 damage just puts them on a clock. I mean, starting at turn 7, but for a
Well-
control deck, it's a win condition kind of onto itself.
and when you play it with Bran, it's gonna do it twice, right? So do 6 at the end.
Yeah, that'd be a
Oh, yeah,
fireball to
yeah.
the face at the end of every single turn.
I mean, even if you're, unless you're maybe playing Line Cracker, that's kind of hard to deal with, right?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it seems just on the face of it, it seems very strong. Even the 3, like it adds up pretty quickly.
And I think they're kind of telegraphing that they think it's strong by basically saying you have to be all in on the red variant, which I don't really know yet what it kind of specializes in, but clearly it's looking like the aggressive one of the 3.
And
We talked
it
about it
is
last week,
actually
and I-
not.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. So we'll see.
So it seems like, and we'll go through a little bit more of the cards. It seems like it's a bit more of a kind of health manipulation thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
Blue, here's what you missed last week. They said so there's 3 different types, right? There's the well, I'm scrolling in the show notes of last week because we had we did kind of the deep dive into all of this, but if I can find okay. So the 3 types, blood specializes in board control effects, large minions, and cards that manipulate life totals. The blue or frost says powerful burst potential, direct damage, card draw, mana manipulation, and freeze effects. And the green or the unholy is summon undead minions, summon swarms of minions, generate and spend corpses.
that's going to be my favorite. I
Yeah.
can just tell.
Wow, I'm looking at some of these frost ones, and they're not kidding.
No, yeah, it's going to be pretty gnarly. The combination of burst and direct damage and card draw and mana manipulation and freeze effects seems like okay.
Yeah, that's Frost is going to be the strongest at the very least in the original and this first drop. Just kind of a spoiler alert on how I feel about that.
It's really
I would
cool.
be inclined to agree after looking at the card called Horn of Winter. Oh, it's refresh. It's not gain. Okay, maybe it's not that bad. Still, I'm seeing a lot of mana cheat, card draw as I kind of thumb through it.
Those are good things.
Yeah, those things tend to build good Hearthstone decks, as they say.
That is what they
I
say.
think-
Frostmourne you can just play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Frostmourne is
That's
just
fun.
a card now.
Wow.
That's cool. Anti-magic shell too. some of our old favorites are making a return.
Yeah.
Neat.
Okay. How do you want to look at these? Do we want to look at all of them, or do we want to spotlight some of them? There's an awful lot of cards, so I don't know.
Yeah, maybe if and I don't mean to kind of put the burden on you, Sheep, but since you're a little bit more familiar with them, perhaps maybe it would be best to kind of spotlight some of like the key enablers in each school that kind of would be warrant of conversation.
Yeah, so since we started kind of with the blood, we can continue along that route as well with the Corrupted Ashbringer. So the Corrupted Ashbringer is a 6 mana 5/2 weapon. It has the restriction of 2 blood runes, and it also has lifesteal. So Ashbringer, lifesteal, 6 mana, but deal 10 damage to your opponent's face and heal your face up by 10. Over 2 turns.
We know how strong lifesteal weapons are from Demon Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of expensive. It's hard to evaluate, but I think that lifesteal weapons generally warrant a look because in the past they've been, in some cases, meta defining.
Put your faith in the blight. That's pretty good.
That's great. Neat.
Continuing along our kind of bloody path here, Deathbringer Sourfang is a 5 mana 3/5 undead minion. It's a legendary. 2 blood runes with taunt and death rattle. Return this to your hand. It costs health instead of mana. So along those lines of using your health as a resource, if Deathbringer Sourfang dies, just goes back into your hand. You can play it back out, but you got to pay 5 health to do so. Does have taunt, and the minion itself has 5 health as well.
So this is interesting. There's like a precedent for 0 mana 3/5 taunts. There was that Druid card a few expansions back. I think there might have been some others. This could be good.
Yeah,
I guess
especially if you've got lifesteal stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. But anytime you get to play something for 0, and if you think about it too, like it's also kind of like pseudo draw in that it's replenishing your resources in your hand. 5 is pretty steep. 5 life is nothing to sneeze at. But I will note that it's odd costed, so maybe you'll have more than 30 health. That makes it a little bit more palatable, perhaps. Yeah, definitely a lot of potential there. A lot of value. Value good. I can see what you meant before, Sheep, that yeah, this is not necessarily the aggressive color. That's very much a control-y type of card. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Looking for one specific one next that does additional health manipulation. And while a lot of the blood are combined in the same spot, not all of them are. This is not the card I was looking for to spotlight next, but it is definitely one that I wanted to spotlight sooner rather than later. So we'll do so now. That is
Holy cow.
Yeah. So Patchwork is basically Mutanus plus some. So Patchwork is a 7 mana 4/6 legendary minion, 1 blood rune restriction. It's undead with the battle cry. Destroy a random minion in your opponent's hand, deck, and battlefield. So
that is a good card.
The flavor text. This card is so good it might need patchwork.
Cards that like so this is in a way scarier than Mutinous because like
big time.
It not only denies things from hand, it also swings board. Yikes.
And the deck and the battlefield?
The deck is kind of like, it's not bad, but like the hand in the battlefield is really good grief. And it's got that 7 cost, which is like, it's got the same cost as Mutinous. This is just, sure, it won't have the same stats necessarily, but really, are we playing Mutinous for the stats?
No. And Patchwork does not eat the stats, so it doesn't buff up like Mutinous does in that aspect, but the disruption potential and swinging the board and yeah, incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. I bet you in testing it was a 6 mana 4/6, and then they had to up it. It was too good. I'm speculating, but 6/4/6 is kind of like a pretty common stat line for these types of utility cards.
Mhm.
And this one probably needed some patchwork in their testing.
Some pre-patchwork even.
Patchwork, yeah.
That seems so strong.
Yeah, and it's a 1 red too, so you can, if you have a deck, like, for example, if you're playing the go wide green with all the corpses, maybe that fits in well with that as like a top end. So there's options for it to be flexible with the new deck building restrictions too. So it kind of seems really good all around.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, I see which card you're
Whereas
talking about.
the 3/5 taunt was like a 3 red, right? Like, so I mean, just to kind of put it in perspective.
It's a 2 red.
It was a 2 red? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. My brain today is still stuck in first gear, apparently.
No, it's all good. And these are new. I mean, we're just seeing these for the first time, so.
So the other one that I wanted to spotlight is called Vampiric Blood. So Vampiric Blood is a 2 mana spell with a 3 blood rune restriction. It reads, give your hero +5 health. So gains health. So if you're starting at 30, it goes up to 35. You're starting at 40, it goes up to 45.
Holy cow. All right.
Spend 3 corpses to gain 5 more and draw a card. So you can spend 3 corpses, and instead of gain 5 health, you're gaining 10 health and drawing a card for 2 mana and 3 corpses.
Wow. Do you get to choose, like, if I've got 10 corpses, do I get to choose to spend them or not spend them? Or is it just if I've got them, they're going to spend if I play this?
From what I've heard, the latter. So if you have them, you spend them.
Okay.
And that also works in the way like a Corpse Bride does, which we'll get to shortly. We'll talk about that one next, even though it's not a specific blood card. Things that scale up with the amount of corpses that you use will use the most amount of corpses that you have access to with whatever cutoff it gives.
I see. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. The one right next to it, if you close that, the one right next to it looked good too. It had lifesteal, and then at the end of the turn, it attacks their lowest cost minion, right? The no, not obliterate. But that looks good too. That gnome muncher.
Yeah, so No Muncher is a 6 mana 5/6 undead minion, 1 blood rune restriction with taunt and lifesteal. At the end of your turn, attack the lowest health enemy. Note it says
if there's
enemy.
No minions, if there's no minions, it's gonna go face. Wow.
That's
okay.
really good.
And
I mean, we know how.
If your opponent's hero has less health than one of the minions on board, even if that minion has taunt, it'll go through the taunt to deal the finishing blow.
This card
If the plays taunt.
This card is like a combination of Troublemaker and the Priest Colossus from the expansion. Like it's really good. It kind of has a dual purpose. It can be used to basically be quasi removal. It also could be quasi direct damage. Yeah, the combination of taunt and lifesteal with the stat. Gosh, the 1 red card.
Right?
One red rune is like looking pretty juicy.
Might
That's
just
hard.
have to do 2 unholy, 1 blood, huh?
It's looking quite munchy.
Well,
Wow.
yeah, that's nom nom nom. That's funny. Gnome nom nom. Okay.
So some cards that have some oomph to them, definitely.
Yeah.
The Corpse Bride.
So the Corpse Bride is kind of related to a mechanic we were talking about earlier. So it does not have any rune restriction as part of it. But it's a 5 mana 4/4 undead minion. Battle cry, spend up to 8 corpses. Summon a risen groom with stats equal to the amount spent. So, like I was talking about earlier, if you have 9 corpses in your pool, it'll spend all 8 that it can. If you've only got 3, then you can't choose to only spend 1. It'll spend all 3 that you have and make a 3/3.
If you've got 9 and you play it with Bran, will it summon an 8/8 and a 1/1 or whatever? Like it'll.
I imagine so. I don't know.
Not that it matters, but I mean, I think we'll just have to test these and see. I'm looking forward to that streamer kind of challenge thing where they're using these cards so I can see them played.
Mm-hmm.
My brain keeps like looking at these and be like, "That's a rogue card." But all right.
I can find more blood cards. I feel like whenever I exit things out, it reshuffles because blood now is not at the very top, which it was earlier.
Now at the bottom.
And not all of them are there.
Wait
Yikes.
a minute.
I am confusion. They've had a lot going on, but this is unfortunate. So we'll kind of pivot over a bit. I feel like that's probably some of the high points for blood. We can either go to the strongest rune, or we can go to the one that I'm most excited about.
Let's do that. It seems like those all floated to the top, so let's do that one.
All right. So probably one of the cards I'm most excited about is Stitched Giant, which is a 10 mana 8/8 undead card, and we've pivoted over to Holy. Yeah. So cost has the restriction of 2 Unholy runes, and reads costs 1 less for each corpse you've spent this game. So not that you've gained, but that you've spent. So you do have to both have things die and then spend their corpses in order for the discount to happen. But Unholy, at the very least in this expansion, tends to want to do that thing. So it's not a big ask there.
I mean, it's a giant. Most giants are good.
Yeah, this one, it'll be pretty easy to spend corpses also, I would imagine. I guess you have to build around a little bit, but...
And if you don't think it's good, I've got one word for you. Gigantotem. That is one. I mean, I don't know if we all, but I thought Gigantotem was going to be not good. Now it turns out I was wrong. It's very good. I mean, anytime you can get a 0 mana 8/8, that's like it's a power play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Spooky. 2 green. All right.
Yeah.
I like that Unholy Frenzy is another green. Choose an enemy minion, your minions attack it, resummon any that die. Like that's gonna be building up your sorry, it's
corpse
it's
count.
in the path. Yeah. It'll build up your corpse count, and depending on what dies, like you spend them, you get them back, like okay.
So it's very reminiscent of Devouring Swarm, which is free, but Devouring Swarm returns them to your hand, so you do have to spend the mana again. But that also means that you can then get the battle cries again. So if there are things that happen that have either a persistent effect or you're just, reborn, anything like that, Unholy Frenzy by far wins out. Otherwise, Devouring Swarm could just be better. But that said, Devouring Swarm is really good. Like we run that in a like probably the strongest hunter deck that's out there right now. So it's kind of comparing it to not Linchpin, but like a very strong card in a very strong deck. And the fact that that's where it's like, well, which is better? They each have their where they excel and where they don't. Yeah, I think Unholy Frenzy is going to be phenomenal.
Corpses, I assume. I don't. From what I recall, they don't have battle cries, so it's not really a consideration. They're just 1/1s, right? 1/1s with rush, was it?
No, well, so here's what happens, right? The hero power is it's a 1/1 with charge.
Okay.
When anything dies, this is my understanding, so correct me if I'm wrong, but when any of your minions dies, it counts as 1 corpse. For your corpse count total, right?
With the slight asterisk that if something says like risen on it, then it dying because it's already died and come back does not add to it. So slight asterisk, but that's one of the more nuances to it.
Okay.
Sounds a little bit like graveyard manipulation.
Doesn't
does.
it though?
But it doesn't have to be an undead card. Like it's any minion, right? Like my Silverhand recruits or whatever it would be. Like that counts as a. Not that that I guess.
Anything that
this,
dies becomes a corpse.
My leper gnome or whatever it is, like when it dies, that counts for my corpse total.
Yeah, so you can really just ratchet up your corpse count pretty quick with Unholy Frenzy in particular.
There you go.
I wish that, can you sort this by can you filter it by
No. By rune. I've been trying.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. You can sort it by spell school. That's unfortunate, but not rune. Okay. That would be too easy. All right.
Well, now it's returned to
No.
previous sorting method.
Oh my goodness.
Another very strong card in the Unholy is Plagued Grain. So Plagued Grain is a 1 mana spell that has the restriction of 3 Unholy runes. So the spell reads, gain 4 corpses. So 1 mana, already you got 4 corpses. Shuffle 4 crates into your deck that summon a 2/2 undead when drawn.
And when the 2/2 undead dies, because it's already undead, it doesn't count as a corpse?
Nope. It does count as a corpse.
It does count as a corpse.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So this potentially can get you up to 8 corpses. Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for clarifying that. That's helpful. So basically, anything that dies will become a corpse unless it's a corpse that's arisen.
Correct.
Okay, I got it. These mechanics are it's not that they're complicated, it's just they always wanted things to be very simple on the surface, and I think they're kind of like the design philosophy's shifting away from that, which I think is appropriate for a game that's, 8 years old now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So they got to keep
Well-
it interesting, and certainly this is interesting.
They've got a bunch of new people on the design team now as well. So, I mean, I always like it when they're thinking outside the box, doing some new things. So,
Outside the box, we were just talking about the crates.
thinking outside the crates.
I'll tell you what, I think these cards are pretty cool. I think that I can see why Seth was quite excited for them, and it seems like it will also, because of the way that they've kind of segmented things, it's not going to be like, so when Demon Hunter came out, right? It basically had to play aggro Demon Hunter. That was the deck. It seems like there's going to be a play style, more than one play style, so that, everyone could kind of have their own, everyone can experience the new class and not be pigeonholed into one single archetype. It's cool. I'm kind of digging it.
Yeah.
We mentioned it last week, but one of the things that they said is that when Demon Hunter launched, they wanted there to be multiple archetypes, like the tokens and the big Demon Hunter and the aggro and whatever else, and it just kind of flopped, and so they were trying hard to not do that this time.
Without breaking the
Without
game.
breaking the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
I don't envy the challenge, but certainly seems to be an innovative approach they've taken. It's cool. I kind of like it. And Sheep, I can see why the green rune is your favorite. It's probably mine also. So the trick is, can you somehow like weave in some blue to give it some card draw and gas, right?
Yeah.
Green and blue, my favorite color combination in Magic the Gathering as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So a little bit earlier, we were talking about the kind of exception to the rule of what will add to your corpse count.
Yeah.
The next card that we'll discuss is one of those that fits into that exception. So, Lord Marrowgar is an 8 mana 9/7 undead minion. He's a legendary and has the restriction of 3 unholy runes with the battle cry, raise all of your corpses as 1/1 risen golems with rush. So those risen golems, whenever they die, they've been risen, they won't add back to your corpse count. So you spend all of your corpses, bring out a ton of risen golems with rush for they're only 1/1s, but for each of your corpses that can't fit onto your board, give one of your risen golems +2/+2.
Kind of reminds me of that Battlegrounds mech in tier 6. When it dies, it fills the board,
Yeah.
and then for each one it didn't fill, it just buffs everything.
Yeah, it gives all your mechs +whatever.
Yes, I agree. That's the one that I was thinking of as well.
So
That's pretty cool.
if you play Lord Marrowgar on a board that has 5 slots already filled up, so you're only making 1 Risen Golem, then that 1 Risen Golem will get all of the +2/+2s onto it. So it'll make a 9/7 without rush and a 586 with rush.
It can go wide, it can go tall. Man, it's a card. A little pricey though, but
Yeah.
certainly seems appropriate considering that it's probably not a game ender, then at least a gigantic swing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Marrowgar is probably the kind of like the one that plays all of your fell spells again in Demon Hunter.
Oh, Jace.
Yeah, Jace. It's supposed to kind of be the Jace of Unholy. Doesn't give it charge, but the general idea is to flood the board, so that then you can just do that finishing damage. And
Looks fun.
That's cool. I like that.
there's one final one that I want to talk on in Unholy. But there are probably more of them, but this is Grave Strength is a 4-mana shadow spell. It's epic with a restriction of 3 Unholy runes. Give your minions +1 attack. Spend 5 corpses to give them +3 instead. So Bloodlust, essentially.
So, sorry, I just want to understand. So when you spend corpses, they are removed from your corpse pool. So
Yeah.
if you played that other card that would arise them, you'd have 5 fewer to arise.
Correct.
Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. I thought that's how it worked. I don't know. Assuming, especially today, your listeners might notice Blutrane's not quite on the ball tonight. I'm not. I'm a bit brain dead from this week. So thank you for confirming that. Interesting. So basically a 4-mana Bloodlust. Maybe the
Exactly.
top end in an aggressive deck.
Mhm.
I mean, Bloodlust's a pretty scary card, even after all these years.
Yeah.
1 mana makes a big difference, especially in an aggressive deck. I mean, we're playing Savage Roar for 3, and that only gives 2. I mean, that's a lot of extra damage up and down the board state, right?
Mm-hmm.
Neat. 3 green. Kind of telegraphs that this is on the stronger side.
Yep.
Big agree there too.
Does this make it easier for us to evaluate cards? I guess not, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they're stronger. It just means that there's just potential.
Well, if you want the payoff, you have to go all in on the runes. Is really what it is.
Mhm.
I mean, and sorry, one last clarifying point.
Mhm.
If I have a Silver Hand Recruit and you have a Silver Hand Recruit and they do battle and both die, do I gain 1 corpse or 2?
Just 1.
Yeah,
So
it's
I only
only
get
your
my-
own minions.
It's only my own. It's not the whole board state. Okay. Still,
Unless you had like a mind control or whatever, or like the priest.
it has to die on your
potion
side
type
of the board, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you were playing Res Priest and you would be able to bring it back, that's what adds to the corpse count.
Okay.
Goes into your res pool essentially.
Got it.
Yeah. There are many more of these unholy cards that I could talk about, but
By the way, just that the Savage Roar, if it doesn't finish your opponent off, it certainly makes slamming that 8/8 giant pretty easy.
oh yeah. Well, and noteworthy for Grave Strength before we move on. That's not this turn. That is a persistent. It gave them the +1 attack, and then they just have that attack. So if it doesn't kill your opponent, the minions may keep that attack too, which could be relevant.
Oh, it's the aggro druid player is coming out.
Oh yeah.
Is Death Knight the new aggro druid?
Well, at least the Unholy Death Knight is. Yeah, it looks like it.
That's how I'm gonna play it.
Yeah. Wow. Seems like it's up my alley too. Let's look at some of the Frost ones. I'm curious to see how it kind of counterbalances out Unholy and Blood or Green and Red.
Take a look if you scroll up to the top. Lady Death Whisper, which I had read that we're getting this one in Diamond. Is
Diamond or Signature or both?
well, they said Diamond, but it might be both.
Yeah, if you buy the Golden Path of Arthas, then you'll get the Lady Death Whisper in Diamond as part of that.
Okay, so she's like the Finley.
Yeah, but with the price point. Although I guess they're going to make her available for sale separately.
Mhm.
But it just looked interesting. Oh, it's Death Rattle. I thought it was Battle Cry. I was like, oh, it's broken. 4 mana, 4/3 Undead Death Rattle. Copy all Frost spells in your hand. So it looks like this sets up for kind of combo and I don't know. Seems good. I guess it depends what Frost spells you have.
Yeah, Death Rattle makes it less in a vacuum appealing, but I mean, it's hard to evaluate in a vacuum. Obviously, this has the potential of copying, if you get 2 or 3 cards off of this, it's kind of the nuts. It would be absolutely busted if it was a Battle Cry.
Well,
It still might
I
be.
haven't seen the mana. Oh, sorry, yeah.
It still might be very good. I mean, but yeah.
I'm curious to see what the mana manipulation looks like. Frost Worm's Fury, 7 mana. Frost spell, deal 5 damage, freeze all enemy minions, summon a 5/5 Frost Worm. Like, okay, that seems good.
So it's kind of like a UI, but instead of drawing 5, it freezes. Yeah.
And it costs 3 less.
Sure does.
Should cost 5. Should cost 5. Deal 5.
I bet it did cost 5 originally, Nate, and then they were like, "This is too strong." And just I don't know for a fact that's how much it costs during their playtesting, but I know it's true.
Also, it should just freeze 5 enemy minions.
Right.
There you go.
That'd be cute.
Neat.
What? All right.
So we're talking about mana manipulation. Horn of Winter is almost certainly why that one card that is being nerfed with the release. I'm drawing a blank on it. The elemental 4 mana 4/5 that whenever you play a frost spell gets +2/+2 and is being nerfed to +1/+1. Horn of Winter, I think, is one of the reasons why. So Horn of Winter is a 0 mana frost spell, rune restriction of 2 frost runes, refresh 2 mana crystals. So they learned from the bloom, and it's only refreshing, not temporarily gaining, but being able to just frost, and get +2/+2 that many times is just basically like getting a super early Edwin. Still, we do have that kind of mana manipulation aspect with this, and it is, of course, frost as well, so it can be copied with our Death Whisper lady.
Yeah, I think what we've learned from Lightning Bloom is that refresh is a lot less spooky than gain, but I mean, it's still, anytime I see 0 cost cards that enables you to do more, especially in the draw card pool, it still definitely warrants keeping a close eye on. Very close eye.
Yeah, interesting. I don't see any other mana cheat here aside from the one that costs health instead of mana.
Right.
Um, yeah, I don't know. They said that there was going to be mana cheat, but I only see the 2. But I don't know. That doesn't really mean that much.
Well, I mean, there's more cards to be revealed, and of course, there's going to be more cards printed. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
go up for a second. I just saw something.
And
Scroll up.
Here's one as well, Glacial Advance. 3 mana, frost spell, deal
There you
4 damage. Your next spell this turn costs 2 less. So it's mana manipulation in a different kind of way as well. And you said to scroll up a bit as well.
Yeah,
I searched for the wrong thing.
something caught my eye. Was Anti-Magic Shell in the green in the corpse pool? There's another mana cheat one.
Anti-magic spell is in the Unholy pool.
Unholy, yeah. Oh man, that's
They
that was,
also
gross,
changed
wow.
anti-magic shell. It no longer costs 4. It only costs 3, but instead of giving +2/+2, it only gives +1/+1.
not
they
targeting
probably
was
had
why
to.
it was so strong. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh boy. I'm an unholy gamer.
You and me both.
The cards that say play and then discount, we know those are going to be strong or have the potential to be strong because Serrated Bonesaw and Rogue, like Rogue has a lot of that type of mechanic where it, like you play something, it does damage, and then it discounts. Like that kind of is those kind of effects are very solid. So I could see that being playable. It's hard to know in a vacuum because by nature those cards
By nature?
by nature they need to be played in concert with other things, but usually it enables a lot of chaining. So Sheep just put up another one, a weapon, Rimfang Sword, 2 runes. Your hero attacks, reduce the cost of a spell in your hand by 1, and it's a 2/3.
Ooh.
That's pretty good. That's actually really good, especially since some of those bigger spells, like think about the one that costs 7. Right? You play this on 3, and then all of a sudden you could be playing it on turn 5 instead of 7, and an effect like that is strong, but especially is stronger as you kind of pull it in a little bit. And a 2/3, the 3 mana 2/3 is an interesting stat line, but I think that I think you're happy to see the higher body as opposed to attack when you're kind of looking to discount things. We know weapons that discount costs, although I'm thinking of Rune Mythal Rod, which is a little bit different. Like those were very good too. I think that Sheep was wise to pull up this card. It certainly has my attention.
And essentially what you're doing is you're front loading the mana. So you're paying 3 mana at first, and then over the next 3 turns, you're discounting cards in your hand to kind of do the manipulation that way, which I think is a really clever kind of iteration of that effect.
Yeah. No, this seems gosh, anything that mana cheats is worthy to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And weapons are typically weapons are typically very strong also because they're very outside of very limited kind of play patterns. The oozes, for example, it's very difficult to interact with them. So having that on a weapon is kind of premium,
good.
right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see it getting nerfed down to a 2/2 at some point. We'll see. It's one spell and it's random in your hand, and so it's not as busted as like the Warlock weapon that got nerfed twice that reduced everything.
But the Warlock weapon required you to draw like what 3 or 4 cards. This one just needs to swing.
Just a swing. Yeah, that's true.
Kind of reminds me of the Gavel auction house Gavel, but this seems better. Well, does it? Yeah, I think that this is a lot more. Is it more targeted? Gavel was a battle cry minion. I guess Gavel never saw that much play. We all thought it was going to be the nuts.
I used Gavel a ton playing Elemental Shaman, something we played together earlier this week, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. Or was it just that we had better weapons to choose from? I don't know. We'll have to see.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm overvaluing it. I think there's always potential with these kind of cards. I don't know if I'm
Look
talking
at
myself out of it being good or bad, but
well, it's potential. Any mana reduction that's difficult to interact with, it seems good to me. I mean, like you said, it's just value. It seems good. I'll put it in a deck. Remorseless Winter looks good as well. If you type in Winter, it's blue, yeah, 4 mana, deal 2 damage to all enemies, so it goes face and the board. Enemies only, and draw a card. Seems good.
it's consecration that draws you a card.
Yeah.
And is Frost instead of Holy, which I think is obviously different advantages, but if you're discounting all Frost spells or discovering a Frost spell, will definitely be relevant there. And if we're looking to do, some particular kind of 2 Unholy, 1 Frost, only has the restriction of 1 Frost rune, so it can easily be woven into some different archetypes as well.
I mean, seems solid. It's not flashy, but it seems like it just has a lot of general utility.
Oh, hey, so look at Rune. It's called Rune Forging. It's a 1 mana spell. Draw a weapon, spend a corpse to reduce its cost by 1. So there you go. You can play it with your frost weapon that we just talked about.
Yeah.
But you need a corpse. Or I guess you
Well,
just kill something and it becomes a corpse. But are you playing cheap minions with the Frost School?
you're gonna draw the weapon either way. You spend the corpse to reduce the cost. So I mean,
even if
it's
it's
a
just
tutor.
tutored draw, then it's 1 mana tutored draw, which is good. And Rune Forging itself does not have a rune restriction, so we could run it in anything. If we get a really strong blood, our Ash or Corrupted or whatever, Ashbringer, hey, instead of a 6 mana 5/2 with lifesteal, it can be a 5 mana 5/2 with lifesteal.
Yeah. That's right.
Oof. Wow. Well, the set looks fun. I'm more excited about it now than I was earlier. So this is pretty cool.
And I understand that the Baku version of the hero power will make it a 2/1 charge.
Yes. Frost does have some pretty fun minions kind of woven throughout as well. Got Death Chiller, which is a 2 mana 2/3 elemental. After you cast a spell, deal 1 damage to 2 random enemies.
Ooh.
That's 2 Frost runes. Harbinger of Winter, 2 mana 2/2 undead, 2 Frost runes as well. Death Rattle, draw a Frost spell. It's one of those kind of Frost synergies like I was kind of hinting at earlier. And then Marrow Manipulator, 6 mana 5/5 undead with 3 Frost rune restriction. Battlecry, spend up to 5 corpses, deal 2 damage to a random enemy for each. So Frost does have quite a few minions peppered throughout as well, some of which are cheap, some of which are less cheap, and of course, and with the Death Knight theme in general, them dying or doing kind of corpse manipulation, graveyard manipulation there is really relevant.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, those look fun. Now here's the big question, right? Do you think this class is going to be playable in Wild?
No clue.
I guess it depends how good the Baku thing is, but
And honestly, I think it might be a little bit more dependent on how good the Gen thing is. How good it
Yeah.
is. We want to buff up our corpse count. If our hero power only costs 1, we can do that really quick.
Yeah. Well, that'll be interesting. I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens.
The Bloodlust card is even cost.
Mm-hmm. Sure is.
Sheep's like, she just, oh, I know.
Sheep has put a lot more thought into this than I. I'm only arriving at these conclusions pretty late in the game.
I don't have Nate's soundboard, or I would have done, oh yeah.
Well, it's certainly going to be an interesting experience. Yeah, this has been a wonderful exercise. I feel like I've missed out by not following it as closely as I typically do. There's a lot of neat stuff here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Deal 3 damage to a minion. If that kills it, summon a 2/2 zombie with a rush. That seems decent.
And is even costed. That one was 2 Unholy. This is another 2 Unholy. Battlefield Necromancer, 2 mana, 2/3. At the end of your turn, raise a corpse as a 1/2 Risen Footman with Taunt. So while
do you need a corpse to rise? If you don't have a corpse, you can't rise it, right?
Correct. So
Okay.
if we're playing Gen, even if we're going first, button on 1, it dies. Necromancer on 2, you get a 2/3 and a 1/2 Risen Footman with Taunt that actually sticks around. Gen is the only reason why I'm thinking that Unholy, at least, will be playable in Wild, because we can do that pretty quick.
Giants even costed.
So check this out. All right, so here's what you do. Go to the website, and go to the filter, and then select Death Knight as the class, and just do let's see. So but you got to filter it by Wild. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. They're all going to be standard. Standard, Death Knight, and then when you go to mana, at least if you've got it open up on the big screen, you can. I've got it selected 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Oh, you can do multiple selections.
Yeah, if you let's see. Let me send you a screenshot because I don't know. You've got it minimized and it might change. But you can do.
Okay, so stream will look a little funky for a second while I do our mana selections.
Yeah. If you do that, it'll show you can do all the even ones super easy.
Yeah.
Unless it'll let you just type in even, but I don't know if it will.
It doesn't on the website. It does in client. So if you do mana,
yeah, I've done it in client a bunch of times.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, so we can just build a deck now.
Pretty much. We've got our pantry spider, Nerubian Swarm Guard.
The screen is showing cards like off to the side though, so I can't tell.
Oh.
Or it's not showing everything.
Here we go. Pantry spider, essentially.
4 mana, 1/3 taunt. Battlecry summon 2 copies of this minion. Oh, how long can this go on?
But 2 copies.
Wow. Okay. Seems good.
I don't know. For 4?
Nah, 4 is a little much, maybe. But
they do have taunt, which is relevant unless it's, direct damage to face.
That seems good. Dark Transformation.
Mm-hmm.
It's an undead, but I guess if you used it on your own stuff.
Well, again, I think Sheep showing this because it's like the 1 mana hero power into this seems good, right? It's the trap because now, like, if the opponent is like, I kill the 1/1, they get punished, or if they leave it up, they get punished, right? So it there's the duality of punish.
So the downside of the hero power is that the 1/1 dies at the end of the turn, period. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, never mind.
But hero power, trade into an O2 totem, and then Dark Transformation, all of a sudden it's a 4/5 undead monstrosity with rush as well.
It's a strong turn 3, 4/5 with rush.
Let me ask though. So when you hero power, they have charge. If you hero power and then Dark Transformation, will it be a 4/5? So it'll be with rush now. The charge will go away, right? Because it says transform.
Right. You can go face and then transform it and then attack again. It's like polymorph boar. Excuse me.
Yeah, it just won't go. You won't be able to go face with your 4/5.
Right, because it's a different one. Also, I think that they intentionally said transform and not,
give it stats or whatever it is. Yeah.
And it also doesn't kill it and then make an undead 4/5 with Rush so that it doesn't continue to add to your corpse count too.
Although when the
actually
4 or 5
seem-
dies, you get a corpse.
Yeah.
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 These seem pretty well designed.
I mean,
Like
4 or
they- like-
5 with Rush. Remember? Do you remember what was a 4 or 5 rusher that typically came down on turn 3 and how strong that was? Wild Paw Knoll.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is the 4 or 5, not a 3/5. And turn 3, like you don't need Maestra and any such nonsense. You just need Gen. Seems pretty good. I mean,
Mhm.
I know that we're memeing a little bit, but that playable and wild. A 4/5 with Rush, like, will bully other, like, we know that's good from Miracle Rogue. The question is, do you have the goods to follow it up with? A totem golem that doesn't give you overloaded? I don't know. This is actually seeming, I mean, it's really hard to evaluate, but it doesn't seem that bad.
Mm-hmm. It seems like one of those things that is worth trying out to see if it's good or not. It's like in a vacuum decent. So we'll have to see how it fits into a meta and how the deck as a whole is. And you're not only going to be running Death Knight cards, obviously. So, what other even, aggressive cards can we play? I feel like there are quite a few.
I mean, if you want to build corpses up quickly, the spider from Naxxramas, unironically, might be good. 2 mana Death Rattle, make 2/1/1 spiders.
Oh yeah.
3 corpses. It's not a power play, but it's still. I mean, if the idea is to crank out the corpse haunted creeper, there you go. Yeah. And I think they're the
We used to
spiderlings.
play that and everything. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can run Narrow Bar Weblord, which is always good in decks that don't have battle cries, although I think some of the minions had battle cries, maybe not. But that potentially could, yeah, see, it's an undead beast now. I don't know if that's relevant, but I mean, it's 3 corpses for 2 mana. I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
you
it's
can.
not good enough.
It's an undead beast, so you could use your that spell on it, right, to turn it into a 4/5 because it's undead.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, or a 3, whatever it is, 3/5.
I mean, it'll be worth trying. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it, though. I mean, the reason I like even Shaman and Odd Paladin is because the hero power really makes the deck consistent. And that's kind of why people don't like it, because they bemoan it as being boring. But at the same time, it's nice to know that no matter how poorly you mulligan, you always have a solid turn 1 play. You just press the button. Amalgam of the Deep. Undead is
Yeah.
tried.
Oh,
Yeah. Amalgam of the Deep is solid, right? We like that.
very much. So I'm excited
Yeah.
to play around and see what the possibilities are with the new class, whether it be with Gen, whether it be with Baku, whether it just be with, the cards that we've got here mixed in with some of our old favorites.
I'm more interested in this class than I ever was with Demon Hunter. I think it's there's a lot of cool things about it.
yeah,
I would definitely I definitely would play it.
Well, there's your glowing Blutrane endorsement right there. So,
I mean, I'm not trying to knock Demon Hunter, it just never really appealed to me.
no, it was very underwhelming for me because I wanted to play something other than an aggro deck at the time, and felt like kind of disheartened that I hit Legend with it in Wild with the odd version.
A1
more-
odd Demon Hunter.
Well, yeah, but it was more like mid-rangey at the time because it was before everything got nerfed to oblivion. And but I like the idea of like a token build. I like the idea of a bit like big Demon Hunter, and they just don't work even after what is it now, a couple of years. The Blutrane endorsement right there, maybe playable.
I mean, we don't know, but I mean, there's enough there see, I kind of dig the even over the odd. I just like having that 1 mana hero power that just makes it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the unholy, like putting things into your corpse, like not just count, so ramping it up really quickly, but also just like having undeads to transform or do any sort of manipulation there just seems really relevant.
Yeah, it has got some of those early cards are, I mean, they're no joke. Like I'm serious about the 4/5 rush. Like Null is like the Miracle Rogue with Maestra and the Wild Pawn Null bullied out almost every single aggro deck for some time. In fact, it kind of farmed Demon Shaman,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
turns out right now is one of the best decks in Wild. So if that if that holds other things back, I mean, it just kind of goes to show you that there's some there. We'll have to see in practice, but I hope they never give it evolve effects.
Oh gosh, same.
But yeah, I was like looking at it's a 4-mana 4/5, the spiders, 3/4 minions, like it's like, ugh, evolve. Yuck.
Yeah, do not want evolved mechanics in my unholy Donkey Kong. Sorry, Death Knight.
No, you know what? I appreciate the rundown. I like legitimately, we started this by saying, a little bit of lack of enthusiasm, didn't really feel compelled to kind of go out there and seek information. Have you kind of show us the not everything, obviously, we'd be here all night, but kind of some of those choice picks from each of the rune schools. I have to say, I'm intrigued.
And
yeah, same, big same.
And this was only the tip of the iceberg. As we play around with more, we'll see more things that didn't catch my eye or y'all's while kind of scrolling through. When we play with things, we'll definitely be worth an even further dive down there as well. So I hope it's not just copium and that I really want to be playing a lot of DK since that's going to be the only class that I don't have the 1,000 wins for. So I know I'm going to be jamming a ton of it. So I'm looking for ways to play it, but also I love our format and I want to play Wild Death Knight and Demon Hunter. I mean, every once in a while there's something that we can do now, but not a whole lot. And I think that particularly the corpse and graveyard mechanic just gives so much possibility specifically to the Gen iteration of Death Knight that just has me really interested in what a Wild Death Knight will look like and how we can kind of best game that out. But also, of course, the ones that play around with corpses the most are Unholy, which is the one I've given the most attention to. So could be confirmation bias, but also it's just interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. I haven't even looked at the there's a whole bunch of new cards that called Blood Elves that I have not even taken a look at yet. All of the other non Death Knight stuff. There's some interesting things. I know we don't need to do a deep dive into it tonight, but they just dropped so much on us over the last week or so.
I will say,
yeah,
there's one that they just dropped. I think it was earlier today that is really interesting and fits the even archetype as well. So we've got Alistair Bloodsworn, 2-mana 2/2 Battlecry, add Battlecry, add Alistair the Protector to your hand. So the next one is a 5-mana 5/5, also deal 2 damage. So the 2-mana 2/2 deals 2 damage. It's the 2/3 from Even Shaman, right? So it adds also the Protector to your hand, which is a 5-mana 5/5 that adds the next one to your hand. And Mana Thirst of 7. So once you have 7 mana, gain 5 armor. This is kind of the one that you're not as interested in. But the final one, because Alistair the Protector adds the final one of Alistair the Flamebringer to your hand as well. The Flamebringer 8 mana, 8/8. Battlecry, deal 8 damage split between all enemies. Mana Thirst 10, deal 8 more. So if you have 10 mana, you are dealing 16 damage randomly across your opponent's, not just board. If they don't have a board, it's going face.
Just you wait till I've got 10 mana. Deal 16 damage to the face. Wow, okay. Okay.
So Pyros, but instead of Death Rattle, it's Battle Cries, and has upside with different manas that you do it on. Like the Bloodsworn, the deal 2 damage is Mana Thirst 4. I missed that earlier.
There's a reason that you can't play this with Bran without some mana shenanigans. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. Wow, okay.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of kind of Swiss Army knife, the like tangential cards to kind of weave in as well that may prove to be bait. Like I think that Astalor may actually be bait, but like bait tastes delicious. I love bait.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm excited to do a deep dive into the class. Gosh, it comes out in less than a month. I just want to play with it.
Yeah. So the question is, what do we do until then? Well, I'm gonna do my best at jamming some Secret Mage, I suppose, and would just be anxiously awaiting. I definitely want to watch the streamer kind of battle where they're playing with these. I think it's just gonna whet my appetite a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And
that's coming up. When is that? Next week or soon? Let's see.
Super soon.
Well, I'll find it 1 second.
Cool.
It is right here, November 16th and 17th. So next Wednesday and Thursday.
Excellent. We'll be able to talk about it next Friday. So talk about it a little bit before the lore breakdown next week.
Yeah, that's right. We were going to do lore tonight, and then there was like some work conflicts, and so we're postponing that until next week. But yeah. So that's next week we'll do a lore episode of Yogg.
Spin the wheel. Wheel of Yogg-Saron.
That's pretty good. Blue, what did you think about the Wheel of Yogg in Battlegrounds? Did you like it, or was it kind of too random?
Did I top 4 that game?
I think so.
Then I loved it.
Nice.
It felt pretty good. It gave me a lot of Dark Moon Fair prizes, which are pretty all right.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel like Yogg. I feel like Yogg like can hurt you as much as it helps you, and it felt like it was helping me, but not in an explosive game blowout way. It feels like they tempered the variance for Battlegrounds, which is appropriate, but
true.
I don't know. I'm used to slamming Yogg and then my face blowing up, so
I always called him Frog Saron, so
Ribbit.
Used to having it not work so well. What? Why are those cards red?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what's that about?
You broke the game.
I may or may not be making a game
deck.
They're
not eligible. They're not eligible to go in because of the
runes.
School. Yeah, it's nice that they do that. It makes
that's pretty slick, actually.
Maybe that's why they're constantly reordering, because the whole kind of deck building restrictions a little scuffy.
For the audio listeners, on the website Deck Builder, if you start building a deck, the rune restrictions kick in, and the cards that you can't put in your deck turn like there's like a red overlay, so you can't use them. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Haunted Creeper in a wild deck in 2022. What is this?
It's gonna be some spice, let me tell you what.
Theatar. Wow.
Where did he go? Looking for our new legendary duder.
What is the name again?
Thought it was Asta something.
The 8 cost one.
We
The
started at 2, but
2.
yeah.
Do.
If you switch the set to
Yeah, Astalor. I don't know why it didn't show up whenever I searched AST.
oh, there he is now. Huh. I
Weird.
don't know. Well, whatever you're playing, I'm gonna try it.
I will for sure iterate quite a bit, I'm sure, in between now and then. I like to tinker.
You can warm up by playing some Even Shaman, Nate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I'm trying to talk you into any particular course of action, but Renathal, Secret Mage, 40 cards. Actually, I thought Rotted's build was kind of neat. If I played Secret Mage, I probably would have played that. That was kind of going to be my backup if even Shaman was like not working out. I kind of had that on in the bullpen, ready to kind of be called up.
I liked his. I've seen a couple different versions, and I kind of like that one. It
Yeah.
doesn't run Orion, but that's fine.
I think the consensus is that Orion is too inconsistent, but like I don't know. My experiences with Orion have been pretty explosive, but it's also limited.
Yeah, mine is like severely limited. The card, like when it works well, but it's like I don't know, it's hit and miss.
I kind of bullied Secret Mage with Even Shaman, although I got blown out a couple times. It felt like a pretty even match.
It's interesting. I think with Secret Mage, like if you get like if you can play the cards on curve and just straight out the gate, can get going with the full board and a bunch of secrets, like you can blow people out. But when you don't, you don't. And I don't know. We'll see. I'll give it a try and see how it goes. And if it isn't looking good, then I'll swap over. I don't want to force anything. I don't want to. It's not worth like goofing around with my MMR. I don't think. But
oh, did I tell you, Nate? I think I did. I lost my 11 on EU because I haven't been playing.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, it took about 3 months, but it's gone. Ah, the lights went out.
Sad. Well, you'll get it back at some point if you
I
want
don't.
it, maybe.
Yeah,
but
it's not hard to do. Just I've basically been playing on NA exclusively.
So we basically ended the show, but to finish it off,
Whimper this week.
legit style. For more wild content, or to see where you can find us individually, visit us online at borntobewildhs.com. We'll see you next time for the Wheel of Yogg-Saron on another new episode of
Born to be wild.
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 Wow.